This week, the HPT crowns a champion from the mecca of the poker world, Las Vegas, Nevada. We're at the amazing Palms Casino Resort just off the famous Las Vegas Strip, where the poker has been as hot as the Vegas nightlife. As always, we started with 6 players prepared to play down to a champion under the HPT's national spotlight. And this week, we continue the road to the championship with a few remaining talented grinders. Over 100 grand awaits the last man standing, and it's still anybody's championship to win. This is the HPT.
They come from all walks of life, each with a story to tell. All they need is a chip and a chair. It's an open casting call for those who love the game. This ain't your weekend home game. This is the HPT.
Sit right down, put on your poker face, you with the big dogs now. Better bring your best game, talk trash all you want. To me it's all the same, you won't leave with much when you come in second place. I'm the one with the stack showing 7 to the jack. Gon' cry to your mama cause I'm sending you back. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand. Last man standing with the money in my hand. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand.
Hello and welcome back to the HPT, again this week at the Palms Casino Resort in Las Vegas. We started our final table with 6 players. We're now down to just a couple who are battling it out for the $100,000 championship tonight on the HPT. I'm Chris Hansen, and the man to my left has a new personal motto. It goes a little something like this: but she didn't look like a cop. This, ladies and gentlemen, is Fred Bevel.
Lesson learned, and thank you for the bail money and the story. Another story will be written this week, as one of these players will earn the distinction of being an HPT champion. And there's something special about winning in Las Vegas.
The fields in Vegas are a little more challenging when a who's who of poker always shows up to play when the HPT is in town. Top pros that call Vegas home battled it out with past HPT champs and other friendly, familiar faces. And Fred, we're now down to the last of the elite.
This is still anybody's championship to win. The stacks aren't too far off from each other, and anyone who knows anything about poker knows that momentum and chip stacks can change dramatically in just one hand.
We are a long way from home tonight on the HPT, but one of the players we do know will walk with $100,000 tonight. Let's meet the players that are remaining at our final table.
I'm Randy Owell. I live here in Las Vegas, and I play poker for a living. My strategy is to play my best and be the luckiest.
Daniel Allspaw. I'm retired executive. I buy and sell real estate in Las Vegas now for fun. I'm about to sit down at this final table with these people. I didn't see anybody that terrified me, and I'm looking forward to beating them.
James Carroll, and I play poker. I have a pretty bad seat, but I still like my chances.
If I win this $104K, I put the money in the bank.
I don't have that special of a story to tell with how I made it here. I pretty much had chips the whole way and got lucky a couple of times, and here I am.
I've played with Trevor a lot. I've played with Dan a decent amount, so I have some pretty decent reads on him.
4 players left, 4 pay spots left as well on the prize money. No one tonight, Fred, leaves with less than $32,000 in cash.
But everybody gunning for that number 1 spot at $104,000 in cash. Nice little ROI on a $1,500 tournament. And here is the updated chip count.
Good news for James and Michael. They are both over 3 million chips. Trevor and Vic, bad news for them. James and Michael have over 3 million chips each.
Yeah, Trevor is the short stack right now. Vic not too far behind him. Vic will be first up in this hand.
Here we go, Vic. What are we going to do? There's going to be a raise to $75,000 from Vic with pocket 8s. James folds. Now to Trevor. He folds. Trevor asked that we say hi to his dogs on the air. Ruff, 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 ruff.
Michael looks like he's got another ace, a suited ace-6 this time.
Come on, Granzio. It's weird.
And he is going to flat call.
And here we go. The flop is 3-5 queen. You got to be kidding me. Michael didn't hit that flop?
No, he missed it this time. Vic's 8s are still ahead.
Even though he didn't hit it, Fred, it's still time to bet for Michael. It's 115,000.
115 is the bet. Michael, 115.
Vic's got to be very sick of having Michael on his right, I'm guessing.
Kind of a tough spot for Vic to be in here.
Vic is thinking it over, and he's going to go all in.
And it's a quick fold from Mike, and look at that. 725,000 in chips will be the new stack for Vic Gupta.
Brad, I've said it before. No quicker way to find out where you're at than to get them all in the middle. That's exactly what Vic did, and look at that. He wins. If he has the queen, the guy's going to call, so be it.
Blinds are moving up. Poker getting a little more expensive. It's now 20 and 40,000 with a 5,000 chip ante. And the pairs keep coming for Vic. This time it's 9s, and he's going to go all in.
James quickly folds. Now to Trevor, king 9 of diamonds. That will go to the muck. And we're back to Mike. And Mike this time looks down at ace 7 offsuit.
Few holdings for Michael have not included an ace at this final table. That's going to feel pretty good.
Problem is, yeah, those aces, though, haven't been real big. It's always been ace and 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's not been ace queen or ace jack or ace king. Aces are great. But if there's not something else to go along with them, Fred, it's kind of like a misfitting pair of shoes. Yeah, I'll wear it, but I'm not real happy.
Well, he's made the right choices so far with his medium to small size aces. Let's see what he does here. If he does make this call, he'll only have 3 outs going to the flop with the ace. I don't think he's going to make the call. Vic has not gotten out of line a whole lot at this final table. He's been playing pretty close to the vest.
Yeah, it's a much different play than we've seen from Vic. Vic doing a lot of just barely min-raising when he's gotten in pots, especially when he's been under the gun. Now all of a sudden he fires out all in. That's got to send up all kinds of red flags for Mike.
You know what? I fold.
And that's the good fold, and it's probably a pretty easy fold. And this time it's Vic that's going to stack the chips, and he's going to need to do a little bit more of that to gain ground on these chip leaders.
That would have been a fun hand.
Last time? If I called?
Here is one of those short stack. This is Trevor Pope. It's been a long day of poker for that young man. He peels back connecting cards, and they go into the muck.
Over to Mike.
And Mike won the very first hand at this final table, and Chris, he just has been on a roll ever since.
Looks down at ace 6 on the button. Michael Ryan from Pennsylvania, playing in his very first HPT event.
This gentleman also playing in his first HPT event. That's Vic Gupta. He lays it down. Now we're over to James Carroll, professional poker player from right here in Las Vegas. He's going to re-raise it to 270,000, making it 175,000 for Michael to see a flop. Now that we are four-handed, all of these players starting to open their range up a little bit. The 2 big stacks, I would think, are going to step cautiously around each other with 2 short stacks at the table.
And Michael makes the call. The pro versus the amateur here at our final table from the Palms in Las Vegas.
Let's go ahead and see the flop.
And here's the flop. It's 9-4-7. Michael's ace-6 still in the lead.
But James Carroll is staging some chips, and he is going to fire another 270,000.
A bet 270,000.
And that might just be enough for Michael to say uncle and throw those cards in the muck.
Hey, dealer, have these cards back. Let's do this over again.
Michael with the best hand right now, but that best hand is only ace high, and it does go into the muck. And James Carroll going to scoop almost $1 million in chips here. Both the chip leaders locking horns on the first hand tonight.
Blind still 20 and 40,000 with the 5K ante.
No, it's bad news. It's bad news for the rest of them.
Let's take a look at Mike's cards first. 9 deuce under the gun to the muck. Now to Vic Gupta, 38-year-old from San Francisco.
He's got wired 5s. on the button. I suspect a raise is coming. And a raise is what it is. It's 90,000. Over to James Carroll. He folds. And Trevor Pope is all in with ace-jack.
And Vic makes the call with his fives. So we've got ourselves a race between the two short stacks. Sad thing is, whoever wins this hand, Fred, still won't even have over $1 million in chips.
Well, Vic is hoping to fade the paint.
The flop is 9-5-6, and that will all but shut the door on Trevor Pope and his tournament life.
Vic has flopped the set, and now Trevor's going to need running diamonds to pull ahead.
Let's go ahead and see the turn, please.
And here comes the turn. It is a 10, and that's going to do it for Trevor at this final table. He will be eliminated in fourth place.
And just add insult to injury, Vic Rivers quads. And Trevor Pope really couldn't get a lot of traction going at this final table. Let's hear what he has to say.
I feel disappointed. I just didn't run as good as everybody else, I guess, and think there's many good spots. But that's how tournaments are. If you don't run good, you don't win. Simple as that. I think I played pretty tight today. I really couldn't do anything with the cards that I was given. I got folds in spots where I had good hands and got calls in spots where I had bad hands, and got really unlucky when people played their hand pretty bad versus me and still lost the pot. So and overall, I don't think I played anything special. It just didn't work out my way.
We'll return to our final table three-handed when we come back on the HPT. Welcome back to the HPT with Fred Bevel. I'm Chris Hansen. Let's get to know the rest of the players at our final table tonight.
My name is Trevor Pope. I am 25 years old. I'm from Las Vegas, Nevada, and I play poker. Anytime you go to a final table, there's always money on the line, so that's good. And hopefully I can run good and win all the money. I think it's anybody's game just because a lot of luck is involved in tournaments where people don't have many big blinds, and right now a few of us are in that position.
Mike Ryan, Abbottstown, Pennsylvania, and I raise money for veterans with disabilities. I want to make sure that I play the cards I'm dealt and then overplay my hands and take my time and see how deep I can make it today. I'm definitely running hot, but I'm not going to take that for granted. If I make it, to the top prize today, I'll donate 5% of my earnings to Las Vegas disabled American veterans. So that means a lot to me. So I want to get that top prize.
Hi, I'm Vic. I am a serial entrepreneur. So the tournament scene is new to me, and I've been trying to get into this tournament for the last year or so. I feel very comfortable. I mean, I think I kind of have a read on their lines and their personalities, so I feel very comfortable. Well, if I had to do an optimist simulation with the chip stacks, I think the computer will tell you that I will end up in third.
So Trevor gone in fourth place with $32,000 in cash. Vic takes his chips and now has just barely over $1 million. James and Michael still way out in front, both of them with plenty of chips to play with. Even Vic as a short stack still has 27 big blinds. Let's get back to our final table.
Blinds continue at 20 and 40,000 with a 5,000 chip ante. Action's going to start on Michael. It's 4-8 of spades this time. One of the weaker holdings we've seen. He's been getting the good cards pretty much all night. This is Vic Gupta, arguably the smartest man I've ever met at an HPT final table. He's got the math figured out.
90.
He's going to make it 90,000 to go with Queen 8. James Carroll with King 6 quickly calls from the big blind.
James Carroll is 26 years old, lives here in Henderson, Nevada, originally from Massachusetts. The flop is deuce, ace, queen.
And Vic flops the best hand with a pair of queens.
Action will start with Vic.
And action is on Vic.
And Vic is going to bet his pair.
120.
He is going to fire 120,000. Action back over to James Carroll, professional poker player from right here in Henderson.
And he will make the call.
Go ahead and see that turn card, please.
And now we'll see a turn. Turn is a 5 of hearts. James picks up a draw.
James picks up the draw, the nut flush draw, Right now, Vic's still ahead with the queens. He's going to check, and yeah, sure, James is going to take a free river card, I would think, here.
160.
I think wrong a lot. It's 160,000 to go from James. He's semi-bluffing the draw. And that's going to be enough for Vic to lay down the best hand. And look at that. 2 ways to win it there. You either take the free card, hit the heart on the river, or you just bet and get the player to fold right away.
Oh, I love betting a draw and the other guy folds. There is nothing better than that.
Action's going to start on Vic this hand. It's wired jacks.
Vic has his wife with him here at the Palms today, cheering him on at this final table. She's going to watch him make it 120,000. Over to James.
And James has asked for a count from Vic.
1 million.
And James says, that stack's big enough for me to call with King Jack. He's going to see a flop.
8-3 of spades from Mike. That will get put into the muck. So we're heads up with James and Vic. James with just the 1 live overcard to Vic's pocket jacks. Here we go. The flop is 7-6 king, and James finds one of those kings.
He also finds 3 hearts to give him the flush draw.
175.
That flop, bad news for Vic. The overcard, it's all hearts. My cards are black. I don't know what to do here.
Yeah, tough spot for Vic here. He's going to go all in.
And James makes a real quick call.
And just like that, Vic's tournament life on the line. Gonna need to find the case jack.
Before at this final table, Vic doubled up and stayed alive when his jack sucked out against pocket aces. And now it's Vic who's going to need to do some major work here to stay alive at the final table. The turn is an ace of hearts. That gives James the flush and gives him the win in this hand and will eliminate Vic in 3rd place.
Earlier in his interview, Vic said, mathematically, I think I'll go out in 3rd place. He's that good. Let's hear what he has to say.
I feel good. I feel good. You know, except the last hand, I wish I would have just folded, but I just am sick of folding to him. He's just been putting a lot of pressure. Of course, he's flopping really good. I mean, he's not just playing, he's just flopping good. I had a good line and a good tell on him, and I figured if he has like a ace high flush draw, he would do the same thing, and I guess I had no fold equity as a backbone. Well, I said, you know, if I had to go with the numbers, and if I had to just pure crunch it out, and I said that I would probably finish 3rd. And so it was a pretty good guess. It's not a guess, it's just the numbers, the way I crunched it. I knew that this is how it's going to end up. I just needed a little more good run, and I had very good cards. I mean, I'm not complaining, I have very good cards, but it's just the timing of them are a little off, and I should have played a little better. I mean, I should not have called one double bet, and I should not showed here. I mean, very simple. So that's where we are. You know, most of the times it's a bad play that gets you out.
When we come back, 2 men battling it out for $100,000. More Heads Up Poker when we return.
Playing my first HPT was a very good experience. I thought it was ran very well. The structure is great, the field was great, the overall environment was great. It seems like the HPT whole fiasco, like, it was just a good experience. That they care about their players, they listen to their players. You know, there's really nothing bad I can say about it. I have to say that this is definitely one of the better events that I've played, just because of how it was ran and how they treated the players and such. And it's just a laid-back environment, and that's what us poker players like.
This is the second HPT I've played. I like it. I kind of think of it as the people's poker tournament. It has an interesting mix of really top quality talent and then just everyday people. Different than most of the tournaments I play in. And it's a fun tournament. Everybody's relaxed and calm, and it's great.
This is my first HPT tournament. I thought it was run very well, and the staff was great. The prize pool got pretty big, and I'm pretty excited to be here.
So I came day 1A and just signed up. I came a little late, and you know, it's signed up. And since then, never looked back, and the structure and the tournament staff has been the greatest. I mean, I played in you know, series in the, WPT and everywhere else. Never seen such a great well-run tournament, especially the staff. They're so understanding. You know, they're not like, hey, this is our rule, like it or take it or leave it. They're like, okay, you make a point. You know, let's accommodate that. I mean, that is never heard of.
There are 7 million chips in play, and right now James has 4.3 million of them.
Michael with 2.7. Still plenty of poker to be played. One big pot can swing the momentum the other way very quickly. Blinds are 20 and 40,000 with a 5,000 chip ante.
We started tonight, we had 2 big stacks, 2 short stacks. Fred, both the short stacks have now vacated the premises. Moving over to seat number 2 is James, and Mike will remain in seat number 5. James raises to 100,000 with Jack 5 off. And it looks like Mike's going to stay involved in this hand one way or another. He is going to raise. He makes it 325,000 with pocket 3s. James says, go ahead, it's yours.
Michael is on the small blind and heads up. That's first to act pre-flop, and it's suited connectors.
Mike is a 35-year-old fundraiser from Pennsylvania. Does a lot of fundraising for charities.
And he is going to raise it up, makes it 100,000 to go with his suited connectors. Over to pro poker player James Carroll, makes the call with connectors as well.
And the flop is 5 deuce ace with a couple of spades.
Perfect flop for James. He nailed it. He flops the wheel. Michael, not a whole lot to celebrate, but not a whole lot to be afraid of on that board either. Even though there is an ace, James didn't re-raise pre-flop, so it's hard to figure he's got that.
Well, he is betting. It's 135,000 over to James.
And James with the nuts right now. No need to get crazy. But he is going to raise it. Makes it 355,000 all day. It's 220 for Michael to continue in this hand, and he says, no thank you, sir. Throws his cards into the muck. So we're 1-1 heads up here. Michael's 1-1, James is 1-1. Here's the rubber hand.
We continue on. First place tonight gets a just under 105,000 in cash.
King 6 is the holding for Mike.
And Michael raises it with King 6 to 100,000. James calls with Jack 5 of diamonds. Professional versus the amateur with James and Michael. And here's the flop. It's King Ace 9 rainbow.
Michael started the hand in the lead, and now he puts a hammerlock on it. Flops second pair with the king.
Action is on James. And he checked over to Michael.
Michael's not checking. He fires 130 and a quick fold by James.
Season 8 of the HPT quickly coming to an end. Next week we'll be at the HPT Championship Open, which is at Belterra Casino Resort in Indiana. The champions of Season 8 will get together to see who's the best. Of course, the event is open to anyone to come and play in.
100,000 to go from Michael with suited connectors. James makes the quick call with gap connectors.
Another heads-up flop. It's Jack 6 ace with 2 spades.
Michael hits a flush draw. Both players are going to check onto the turn.
And the turn is an 8 of clubs, helping both players.
Yeah, now James picks up the flush draw. Michael already had the flush draw, but now he's got the better pair to go with it. This could be action. James bets 125,000. Michael raises to 380,000.
So now we're back to James.
James has bottom pair and a flush draw. Heads up, it's tough to get rid of a player with that kind of a draw, especially when it's only 255,000 to continue.
James makes the call, and this pot now has almost 1 million chips in it. And we will see a river. River is a jack, so neither of the players hits their flush. Michael has the best hand. Let's see if it holds up. James checks.
And Michael quickly checks behind, and he is going to see he is about to win a monster pot here, the biggest pot so far here, heads up. Almost 1 million chips going into Mike's stack right now, and James is going to have to figure out a way to get that momentum back.
When we come back, more action from our final table here in Las Vegas on the HPT. Welcome back to the HPT with Fred Bevel. I'm Chris Hansen, and it's now time for our Pro Tip of the Week. Time to make your game a little bit better, and nobody better to do it than Phil Hellmuth himself. Tonight, Phil talks about pre-flop play.
Pre-flop strategy. Now that is some interesting stuff to talk about. What hands do you take to the flop and what hands don't you take to the flop? This often determines how long you're going to last in a poker tournament. Unless you're Kid Poker, Daniel Negreanu, or Stu Unger, who passed away a number of years ago, you really have to be careful with the 7-8 suited. I guess Tom Dwan likes those hands too. Those are very dangerous hands. You don't have to play those hands, but everybody feels like they do. They never fold the 7-8 of diamonds. More often, the 7-8 of diamonds is ruinous in poker than it is successful. And on those occasions where it actually comes 4, 5, 6, and you get no action at all, you're like, what? I lost a fortune with 7-8 of diamonds. I finally flopped a straight and they all folded? Really? If you're gonna play those hands, those suited connected hands, all right, then make sure that you're a high-level player and you know how to fold or how to raise when it comes Jack 8 deuce and you have 8-7 suited.
Hopefully your poker game has gotten better here on Season 8. I don't know how it hasn't when you're getting tips from one of the best players to ever play the game in Phil Hellmuth. And here's the updated chip count.
James has over 4 million. Michael not too far behind. Even with that big pot he just won, he's still about 1 million behind. Blinds continue at 20 and 40,000 with a 5,000 chip ante. And looks like the button is on James Carroll. He'll be first to act pre-flop.
26-year-old professional poker player.
Makes it 100,000 to go with baby gap connectors. And it's a weak ace for Michael. He makes the call.
And the flop is 3-4 queen with a couple of hearts.
Both players get a little bit of this. James gets the best of it. He's got the pair of fours. Michael with bottom pair of threes.
They both check. That pair of fours is now trip fours.
And something we haven't seen Michael do a whole lot of at this final table, have bad timing.
Yeah, putting chips in when he is way behind, actually drawing dead going to the river. 155 is the bet, but now a raise comes from James to 360,000. So 205 back to Michael.
And Michael with bottom pair. Tough to get rid of a pair when your head's up, though. And this isn't the first time James has popped it up on the turn, which I think Michael is remembering, and he's going to make the call.
But is there anything here with amateur versus pro that you would give a pro a little bit of an edge?
Well, I think pros definitely have more experience in short-handed poker, specifically heads up.
Well, Michael bet on the river. James makes the flat call with his trip fours and is going to win a huge pot with over 2 million chips in it. Well, the pro is definitely taking advantage of the amateur here.
Nice.
Well, it's just a perfect storm for James. I mean, he's got the trips, and your opponent has aces up in a heads-up match. Of course you're going to get paid there every time. And now it's ace-8 suited for Michael, who needs to get the momentum turned his way. He lost a big pot there, pretty much gave all the chips back to James that he won from that previous big pot. And he's going to raise it up to 145,000 with his suited ace.
And a call with ace-9 from James. Suited aces for both players. And let's check out the flop. It's 5 deuce 3 with 2 spades.
Well, both players flop a gut shot straight draw. They're drawing to the same straight.
James checks.
And 1 diamond on this flop. Might be enough for Michael to bet. It is. He fires 200,000. And now it's Michael with the best hand on the decision. And that decision is to fold. And Michael's going to get a few chips going back into a stack.
Yeah, that's right. Everything ebbs and flows. You just hope that there's more ebb than flow when you're at the poker table. Speaking of Season 8 of the HPT coming to an end, Season 9 of the HPT currently has events that are already booked. You can check those out on our website at hptpoker.com. Also, make sure you follow us on Twitter at HPTPoker.
Don't forget to follow me on Twitter, too. I'm HPT Fred.
If you would like to hear the ramblings of an idiot, follow at HPT Fred.
Thank you. I
Twitter.
appreciate the plug. You speak the truth.
All right, we've got another raised pot as we go to the flop. It's deuce 9-4. Michael is ahead with king 8.
Neither player pairs the board here. Michael checks. James fires 100, and now it's Michael making the quick call.
Let's go ahead and see the turn card, please.
Here comes the turn. It's a 10 of clubs.
Another swing and a miss for these players. Michael's going to check. James checks behind. Free river on the way.
Here comes the River Boys, who wants 410,000 chips. The River is a 6.
Well, Michael does have the best hand, but that best hand is only king high.
First one to bet takes this pot home.
And here you go. Michael is bluffing with the best hand right now, and James quickly folds. And things are starting to go Michael's way here, heads up. He lost a big pot, but he's won 2 little ones to make up for it.
Really, the only complaint I have about Michael's game today is that those sunglasses have been on top of his head the entire day.
Well, maybe he has eyes up there that are getting blinded by our TV lights.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who have eyes on the top of their head. It's a very common thing. I've read about it on Wikipedia numerous times. Either take them off or put them on.
He's like you. He just loses them if they leave his person.
That's about it. Michael raises up to 145,000 with suited 10-3, and James calls from the big blind with King Jack. Speaking of which, I did have a pair of glasses here a moment ago. All right, the flop is Jack Ace 3 Rainbow.
James gets the best of this. He flops second pair. Michael also flops a pair.
James checks his pair of jacks over to Michael, who is the pre-flop raiser. And he's coming out with 180,000.
Does he have the ace or does he not have the ace? That is what James is pondering. He is going to flat call the bet here.
Maybe setting up a move on the turn. It's another 3.
Well, that's a great card for Michael. He now has trip 3s. James checks over to him. And look at that. That's a perfect play. Michael going to slow down on the turn, which is what most players would do if they fire 1 bullet. And let's see if James sees that.
I could fully see a bet of 400,000 or so coming from James in this spot.
Or 80.
Or 80,000, one or the other.
James is correctly stepping cautiously here as Michael is trying to get a little more value out of his trips.
You're willing to give 80, sir. I want a little bit more. We're going to raise it up to 385, and James quickly makes the call, and Michael wins a huge pot worth 1.3 million in chips. Wow. More great heads-up poker from the Palms when we come back. Thanks for coming back to the HPT. He's Fred Bevel. I'm Chris Hansen. Let's get back to our final table. Just once, I'd like them to say, give it to the commentators. that is the dream of Fred Bevel and Chris Hansen. Welcome back to the Palms. James is our chip leader with 490,000 chips more than we checked in on him last.
Well, Michael still has 55 big blinds in his stack, so this thing far from over as blinds continue at 20 and 40,000 with a 5,000 chip ante. James, first to act, raises it up with Queen 5 suited.
What time is our reservation at 9 Steakhouse?
In about an hour. I think we're going to be okay.
I've got a 4-pound ribeye with my name on it tonight.
It is a good piece of meat over at the 9 Steakhouse, no doubt.
So James makes it $100K, and it looks like we've got a re-raise to $250,000 with King 9 from Michael.
And look at this. It's a 4-bet pre-flop. James is going to make it $575,000.
Anything you can do, I can do better. Look at this. 1.1 million chips in this pot before we even see the flop. And the players' hands are king high and queen high. Man, I love heads-up poker.
Like 1.5-ish. 2.
All right, Linda, let's go ahead and see the flop, please.
And here's the flop. It's ace, jack, queen.
Well, that's an appropriate flop for the kind of pre-flop betting. James has flopped the best of this with second pair in the queens. Michael misses, but has a straight draw.
They both check, so now we'll see the turn. It's an 8 of hearts.
The gut shot straight draw also has a flush draw now, and Michael doesn't want to semi-bluff it. He's going to check over to James, who right now has the best hand, who is also checking behind.
So all the fireworks pre-flop and then nothing. Here comes the river. It's a 4 of diamonds.
Well, James has the best hand unless Michael can push him off, and that's what he's going to try to do here. 1.1 million in the pot. You almost have to go all in to ruin the price. But given the way this hand is played, I don't see James laying down second pair heads up here.
Although if I'm James, I might put Michael on ace-king right now. He came out firing right away and then just flat called the final raise. That always smells to me like an ace-king kind of a situation.
And look at that. Michael doesn't even get the chips on the felt, and James says call. Not even sure what the bet was, but whatever it is,
call, James.
It is going to James's stack.
And Michael needs to stop the bleeding at this final table. He's been losing smaller pots, but now, Fred, a couple of huge pots have been shipped James's way. This one worth 2.1 million chips, and blinds have now gone up to 25 and 50,000 with a 5K ante. James is first on this hand with Jack 3 offsuit, makes it 110.
The raise to 110 by James.
And it's another quick call from Michael.
Michael's style has stayed pretty much the exact same throughout this final table. He's seeing a lot of flops. Fred, that's a quick way to run out of money. Flop is 4, king 6.
Both players missed this flop. James has the best hand with Jack high. Michael's going to check. James is going to fire, and Michael's going to fold. It's just that easy sometimes, huh? The momentum continues to go James's way with a little bit more speed now. That big 2 million chip pot was a big dent to Michael.
Tough thing is when you're playing poker, you're getting a hand every couple of seconds when your head's up. It's kind of like when you're playing just you versus the dealer in blackjack. There's no time to stop and think about it.
We've got a big hand brewing here, buddy. Michael has gone all in with ace-king. James Carroll peels back wired 5s and is getting a chip count.
Frankly, the only word that would have came out of my mouth at that point would have been call.
Well, that's why James is a much better player than you are. He's not going to snap call.
I call.
If it's going to be a big portion of his chips, and it's not, so he makes the call.
It is less than $1 million for him to call, and so James is ahead, but we've got ourselves the classic race. It's a pocket pair versus the best drawing hand in poker, and Michael's going to need to draw out if he wants to stay alive and try to be our next HPT champion.
$7 million in play. A little over 2 million of them in the pot right now.
The flop is 4, Jack 3, pocket 5 still ahead.
Michael hoping to find an ace or a king or running cards for a straight.
I usually say that.
James says, I'm just not feeling it. All he needs to do is fade 2 more cards. Oh, the turn is a king.
And now James drawing to a 5 and only a 5.
See, James, that's why you never say stuff like that. It makes bad things happen.
James getting the chips ready to go to Michael, and this is a big, big pot for Michael.
Let's go ahead and see the river card.
And the river's a 7, so Michael Ryan doubles up, stays alive at this final table. But Fred, even with that pot of $2 million in chips, James still has $5 million chips and still is our chip leader.
A lot of work yet to do for Michael, but you know as well as I do that a lot of work could be just a couple of hands.
Plenty more HPT final table action when we return. Welcome back to Las Vegas. This week at the Palms Casino Resort on the HPT. James is our chip leader, $5.4 million versus Michael's $1.6 million. Let's get back to the final table and let's get this thing settled, shall we, Fred?
Well, you know, Michael wants to be the comeback kid. James trying to put the last nail in his tournament coffin. Blinds are 25 and 50,000 with a 5K ante. The button is on Michael. Heads up. That means he's first to act pre-flop and is holding his King 9 offsuit.
He's going to have one heck of a story when he heads back to Pennsylvania. So, Mike, how was your trip to Vegas? Well, here's the funny thing about it. I'm going to be on national TV. The flop in this limped pot is King, Deuce, Jack with 2 clubs.
Well, Michael gets the best of this. He flops top pair, and James is going to fire just a little bit, 60,000.
All right, so we've got some cooler heads now. We're playing a little kinder, gentler poker, right?
Looks like Michael is going to raise it. He does, and James is going to quickly fold. And that top pair doesn't get a whole lot of value, but when you're the short stack, every chip means a lot.
$105,000 is our prize tonight. $100,000 going to our winner.
Lot of money, lot of money. It's a ace-10 this time for Michael, looking for any opportunity to chip up. He is staging the raisin chips, and there they go. He's going to make it 225.
And all the chips are in the middle with James holding ace-king and Michael holding ace-10. So here we go. James is in great position to eliminate Michael and be the newest HPT champion here at the Palms.
Michael drawn to 3 live cards, hoping to find a 10 here.
Don't be greedy, just one, you know?
And the flop, 4, 9, deuce.
Not the flop Michael wanted to see, still hoping for that 10.
And here comes the turn. And 4th Street is another 9.
Well, that actually isn't a bad card for Michael. Now there's some chop outs available. A 10 for the win, or a 4 or a deuce to chop.
That's all right. I have no problem.
And the river. It's an ace, and that will do it. Congratulations to 26-year-old James Carroll. The pro from Henderson, Nevada, has taken down this event here at the Palms Casino Hotel and is our newest HPT champion. Let's talk to Michael Ryan about his 2nd place finish here at the HPT.
I feel great. I came out here just to enter in the HPT, flew out from Pennsylvania, didn't know how I was going to do, and I ended up being the runner-up for $58,000. That's a good day. Overall, I thought I played well. The final table, it heads up. I wasn't catching cards. So, it is what it is. 2nd place, $58,000. I can do a lot with that. Well, I'm going to go home, put some of this towards my son's college. My wife said she wants a new pair of shoes. And I'm just going to go ahead, save it, and put it towards my next tournament.
Well, I would like to say that my $84 win on the Cleopatra slot machine was the biggest win of the week for us on the HPT, but unfortunately it wasn't. James Carroll kind of has me beat. Let's go back down to the floor to hear from our newest HPT champ.
My first Heartland Poker Tour tournament, and I really never thought that I would win my first one. Started off with the short stack, but still at 35 big blinds. In the big stack only had about 65, 70. So I felt pretty confident. Just needed like a quick double, and then I thought that I could kind of steamroll the table, and that's kind of what happened. I have no real plans with the money yet. I'll probably see you guys next week in Florence, Indiana. If not, then I'll definitely be back here next year.
Well, congratulations again, James, our newest HPT champion, and congratulations to you, buddy. You're leaving Vegas with the pulse again.
Thank you.
I didn't think it was going to happen this time, but it will. We will see you next week at our year-end HPT Championship Open from Belterra in Indiana. Now, do you think you've got what it takes to come and sit at our final table and win the unreal cash? Well, then log on to hptpoker.com to find out about our upcoming events that anyone can play in. For James Larson and Fred Bevel, I'm Chris Hansen. We'll see you next time right here on the HPT.
Oh, I can wait you out, but I'll take you down. And I'm the one with the stack showing 7 to the jack. Gonna cry to your mama, cause I'm sending you back. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand. Last man standing with the money in my hand. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand.